Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure. Come on in.
They have cold beer and action on the game.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
It's time for the Degenerates Next Door.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Happy Election Day from the Degenerates Next Door. I'm Jason Hammer, former elected official.
That's right.
Rob Kendall right across from me.
65% of the vote in my election. 65%. They declared it over at 11 a.m.
Now, for those who might not know a lot about you, I know we have a lot of listeners in other states with this program. Who the hell are you? What did you run for, and what did you win?
I ran the most impressive town council race in the history of Brownsburg, Indiana. And, boy, I'll tell you what, they still talk about it to this day. And by they, I mean mostly just me and my father.
And you worked at the Indiana State House, too,
I
right?
did. I worked under Mike Pence before he was the vice president.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you got any good Pence stories?
Oh, boy, howdy. We should put those on a paywall.
Well, again, if you're going out to vote, because, again, we record this podcast on a Tuesday. It is Election Day. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can go vote, and you can gamble, right? It doesn't mean that you have to stop gambling tonight.
No.
We've got some MAC games tonight.
Yeah.
We've got some other action.
Can you imagine what just a horrible degenerate you have to be with the country on the line, and you're like, can't see the results in Pennsylvania, sweetie. We got to know what's going on in this MACtion contest.
Oh, you just wait till the Degenerate special coming up a little bit later on.
And by the way, we're actually doing a community service day. We should be able to write this off on our taxes as charitable giving. You could listen to this show on your way to the polling place this afternoon.
That's right.
While you're in line.
And if you live in the state of Illinois, maybe you're going back for a second or third time.
It's like a buffet.
You can listen to this show. Last week, I went 3-2 in college.
How'd I do, Hammer?
We'll get there. Should have been, I think, 4-1 if Tennessee's kicker doesn't miss 3 field goals. If Tennessee's wide receiver doesn't drop a wide open touchdown. Vols should have won that game in blowout fashion. Didn't happen. But we still had a winning record.
When your guy misses a kick, do you look at the TV and go, what do you know about Ray?
I think at this point, and you dubbed it earlier, it's called pulling a hammer. When kickers miss easy kicks now just to screw me, it's called pulling a hammer.
Totally, absolutely.
So 3-2, which brings my overall record in college football to 28-23-1.
No?
So that's not too bad. Now, last week, Rob, you picked 5 games.
I did.
Did you win 4 of them?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you win 2 of them?
Huh. I did not.
Did you, Rob Kendall, wear the golden sombrero?
All right, now let's be fair. The Army game we should have got a pass on, right? Because the Army quarterback was injured. I think you and I both should have got a pass on that one.
See, this is the hard part, I guess, of doing a show on Tuesday, where you're basing some of your bets on the, quote, insiders. Right. And all the insiders said the kid was going to go. They didn't really put much stock into it. So we said, all right, we're going to hitch our wagon.
Yeah. And we did this because our sales guys said it would be easier to sell this show if they're spread out days apart. And so really we do this for the audience. And so I got screwed.
I mean, honestly, Army's quarterback plays in that game. That's a good bet because I lost that one too. I was with you.
They almost covered anyway with some guy who looked like a quarterback out of the movie Little Giants. And they almost covered it anyway. Like, I'm texting Hammer going, how the hell did these guys score 50 points? They can't move the ball 10 yards down the field. And then it dawned on me.
Narrator, it's their backup quarterback. But sometimes you break a few eggs when you do this degenerate omelet.
And then, who would have thought? Oh, me, because I told you how I was going to get screwed over. I said it on this podcast last week that Penn State could twice, not once but twice, have the ball inside the Ohio State 5 and score 0 points. Hey, it's first and goal from the 3 and you run the same damn play 3 times in a row. And then on 4th down, you're like, I know, we'll throw a Hail Mary to the back of the end zone.
And this has been another edition of Who's going to screw us this week?
Hammer will vouch for this. Now, in our text thread, last night, did I not? About midway through the fourth quarter, I said, cue the who's going to screw me over music, and gosh darn it, it hit again.
So, listen, if you gamble enough, you have a week like you had this past week. I wore the sombrero earlier this year. I have been 5-0 on a week, and I've also been 0-5. Again, water finds its level, man, when you're a gambler. Anybody that makes a lot of bets on the regular knows exactly what you're going through.
Here's what I don't understand. I'm really good at picking NFL games. How could I be so good at the NFL and then so bad at this?
Here's the thing that needs to happen, though. And again, as your friend, as a colleague, and I think as a mentor, I need to say this out loud on the show. You can't be a bitch about it. Because I'm not saying you're a bitch. I'm not saying that. But you've had bitch-like tendencies over the weekend.
Well, I got other stuff going on. I mean, my dog's hanging on by a thread.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing the show down to a level now where nobody feels good about themselves.
Well, you're basically accusing me of being a bitch.
Yes.
Well, I'm telling you, I got a lot going on, and this wasn't helping.
You know what adults do? They pick themselves off the table, and they make another bet. They walk to the window, they make another bet, and they win. Well, you're a husband, you're a father, you're taking care of your dog, so I don't want any more crybaby shit here.
Well, I got 5 losers ready for this week. Are you ready to go? Let's go.
Get us going.
All right, so I cannot believe I'm going to do this. Oh, my gosh. Remember last week when Stephanoff was on and I was like, I'm making this bet on Penn State because I hate myself?
Right.
I'm doing that again. I mean, there's maybe some issues in my childhood that never got resolved properly.
You're going back with Penn State?
No. I'm doing one worse. I'm going with Brian Kelly.
The jilted Notre Dame lover is now hitching his wagon to Brian Kelly this week.
What's that Penn State guy's name? Franklin? Is that his name?
Big Game James Franklin.
Yeah. I did that. I mean, because, of course, you got it first and goal inside the 5. Why wouldn't you throw a low opportunity pass that can be intercepted? And, you got it first and goal from the 3. Why wouldn't you run the same 3 damn plays over and over again? And then on 4th down, you throw a pass into triple coverage in the back of the end zone. Right. I mean, anyway. Yeah. So LSU's getting 3 against Alabama. And I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm picking Brian Kelly. And here's why. LSU is 13-0 at night under Kelly. Kelly is 21-3 for his career, coming off a bye. Now, granted, at Notre Dame, he was usually playing like Syracuse or Purdue or one of the military academies. But LSU had a full meltdown against Texas A&M on the road when they switched those quarterbacks. If they had not switched those quarterbacks, they would have won that game. And they were up double digits. And the odds of that happening again seem slim since they're at home. So it's Nussmeier against Milroe. The over is 58.5, which is a massive total. But neither of these teams play defense. So that's a big number. And basically it's LSU getting points at home, and I will be pissed beyond belief if Brian Kelly screws me again like he did a couple weeks ago against Ole Miss. So I'll lose with Brian Kelly getting 3 points.
LSU at night is a totally different vibe than LSU during the daytime. Yeah. When those Cajuns have a full day to get rowdy, to get drunk, to go into that stadium against probably the biggest name that the SEC has to offer. Like when Bama comes into your building, it's different. I saw it a couple weeks ago. Like the energy just gets ramped up. So I like this bet for you, Rob. And in order to try to build some mojo for you, we're going to have great moments in Brian Kelly history. This is when he was announced as the head coach at LSU and faked a Southern accent.
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family, and we are so excited to be in the great state of Louisiana, but more importantly, to be with you great fans.
Is that Brian Kelly or Hillary Clinton? He just should have just gone, I don't feel no ways tired.
My family, and for the sake of your family, Rob, I hope Brian Kelly comes to the table. All right. I am going to look at the defending national champions, the Michigan Wolverines.
Ooh.
I think your sick dog Bruce may be a better option at quarterback than anybody Michigan has to offer right now, Rob. Their offense stinks. Now, defensively, they're not too bad, but Indiana, on the other hand, has been putting up some points. So you've got Michigan at Indiana. Hoosiers are a 13.5-point favorite. The over-under sitting at 49.5. Imagine if somebody was in a coma for a couple of years and they just woke up and you're trying to explain to them the best team in the NFL is the Detroit Lions and the Indiana Hoosiers are a 2-touchdown favorite over Michigan in football.
Yeah.
I mean, try to explain that to a coma patient. IU is second in scoring, 46.6 points per game, and they're seventh in points allowed. Now, that points allowed thing, I think you take with a grain of salt because the schedule has not been real daunting for Indiana.
Yeah.
But they have put some points up, so I like the offense there. Now, Michigan, on the other hand, they have struggled, but I want to see what they can do against Indiana. They're going to try to run the ball against Indiana. Will they have success? Here's the reason why I'm making this bet. Last year in Ann Arbor, Michigan beat Indiana and they needed style points. They ran up the score. It was 52-7 in Ann Arbor. And when Coach Cignetti was hired at Indiana, much like Brian Kelly, he walked out to the court of a basketball game, fired up the fan base, and talked about 3 specific teams.
I've never taken a back seat to anybody and don't plan on starting now. Purdue sucks. But so does Michigan and Ohio State. Go IU!
And lo and behold, the last 3 teams on the IU schedule are the 3 teams that Coach Sig just said sucks. And it starts with Michigan this week. I think Indiana puts up some points, but I think you get a little bit from Michigan too. So we are going to go over 49.5. I think the Hoosiers win the game. I think they do the heavy lifting, and I think they give a little back home again in Indiana justice to those scumbags up in Michigan.
When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, then I long for
Bring it home!
my Indiana.
Michigan sucks! Purdue sucks! God, you gotta love Coach Cignetti, right?
He better get it out of his system this week because he's about to enter a whole new world against Ohio State, right? Get it out of your system this week.
But to have that level of swag as the IU
I
football
agree.
coach, right? And then to be in this position, like the state of Indiana is the only state in the country that has 2 football teams ranked in the top 10.
Yeah.
Not Alabama, not Michigan, not Texas, not Florida. It's Indiana and Notre Dame.
Yeah, we can all agree, though. IU hasn't played anybody yet, right? I mean, we can agree on that. It's good. It's a nice story. But this, they're so much better than Notre Dame crap. Let's cut it right there. That's not even a thing.
All right, let's bring in our professional handicapper, one of the best in the business, the man behind followneverfade.com. He had a big win for us last week, which meant Rob Kendall had a big loss last week. David Stephanoff. David, how are you?
How you doing? Thank you, guys. Thank Rob. Thank you, Hammer. Rob, take it on the chin. James Franklin. When it was 10-0, I thought, oh, man, I'm going to eat crow come next week. But James Franklin does what James Franklin does, and they lost the game. But good for Ohio State. Hopefully everybody follows suit, and they play Indiana next week, and we all hope that Indiana puts it on Ohio State. But on to this week, guys. Georgia Ole Miss. I love this game. It's going to be a tough one. I'm not going to give you the winner. I don't know the winner of it. I'm not going to lie. I love the under in this game, you guys. I just believe that both defenses are pretty good. Georgia's quarterback's been playing horrible. Carson Beck's been playing absolutely horrible all year. He's an interception. I think he's most interceptions than any quarterback in the SEC. Don't hold me on that one, but I know one thing: Mississippi's defense has been pretty good. Georgia's defense has been pretty good. I can't pick a winner here because I don't like Lane Kiffin and Mississippi. They usually don't win the big games. I love the under here. I think it's 55, 54, someplace in that ballpark area, guys. I just think no matter what, there's going to be low scoring. Georgia held Texas to a low scoring game when they went into Texas. Georgia's defense is pretty good, top notch. I know Mississippi's is ranked higher in all the analytics, but players wise, Georgia's is the better defense. Jackson Dart quarterback. I don't know Mississippi. You never know. They have scored 40, then they hardly score anything. Their best player, Trey Harris, has not played like the last 3 or 4 games for Mississippi, so they don't score a lot of points on the offensive side when they did. He's one of the main weapons. He hasn't played in many games. But the under 54, under 55, whatever you guys can shop around and get, I like the under 55 in this game, guys.
And with college basketball here now, you, in addition to having football plays, you are Mr. College Basketball. So if somebody wants to get your services and get your college basketball picks and expertise, where can they go?
Hey, guys, first off, I've had a couple of people reach out from all over the country to say, hey, they listen to this podcast. You guys, people
awesome.
Reach out. They love this podcast. But we had one of the best. Hammer will tell you, we've had one of the best weeks we had last year. We went 5-0 Saturday. We went 4-1 in NFL college football. College basketball kicked off last night. We went 4-1 in college basketball. College basketball is my bread and butter. That's how I made a name for myself. Because I'm like you guys. I'm an Indiana guy. I followed all these high school kids, these college guys. I love college basketball. You can follow me everywhere. All my free plays are free: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. But you can message me, sign up the website, followinterfay.com. We'll get you set up. My deal going right now. I get the best deal going. When you sign up for my football package for my basketball package for the whole year, you get football free for the rest of the year, and I'm absolutely dominating football with a winning record. But you sign up for basketball, football's free rest of the year when you sign up. That's a hefty package, but hey, I'm not a parlay guy. A lot of you guys put parlays out and high money lines. I put a lot of plays. I don't put very many plays out like a lot of guys do, but the ones I do, I win way more than I lose. And thank you guys again. Let's have a great week. Take Georgia, Ole Miss, under 55, guys, and don't forget to follow Never Fade.
All right. Rob, you heard David Stephanoff there, our professional handicapper. You went against him last week, had a 10-0 lead, did not work out in your favor. I've always said Penn State is the Ole Miss of the Big Ten, and Ole Miss is the Penn State of the SEC. They're the same type of team. A lot of hype. They always start 6-7-0. There's a big game, and they crap the bed. So I know you've got action on this Georgia-Ole Miss game as well. David is taking the under. Where are you?
I'm so excited, Hammer, because the pro and I are going to lose together this week. All right, so Georgia has been under in 5 of 8 games. Ole Miss has been under in 7 of 9.
Which is shocking considering how many points they were putting up early on.
But their totals are always just so high. Rain is in the forecast for Saturday. Ole Miss has a surprisingly good defense. It's considered to be one of the top run defenses in the country by some grades. They're also top 10 in points, giving up only 14.9 points per game. Georgia's giving up only 19.3 points per game. But I'm most excited. The pro and I are going down together. I'm going under 54.5.
So you're both in on the under with Georgia and Ole Miss. All right, Rob, I'm going to be you here for a moment.
Exciting.
And talk about Notre Dame.
Hey!
Florida State at Notre Dame. And again, football in the great state of Florida outside of the U has been a bit of a hot mess this year. Stinks. Man, the Gators and Georgia, the cocktail party used to be the signature game of that weekend. It was an afterthought last weekend. And now you've got Florida State at Notre Dame. What used to be just a great, great matchup. And now Notre Dame is a 25.5 point home favorite. And the over-under sitting at 42.5. That's a lot of points. My concern here, Rob, and you're Mr. Notre Dame, so let me pick your brain here, is that I could see Notre Dame getting out big. They pull starters. They've got bigger fish to fry, and you get into backdoor cover territory.
Yeah, here's the problem with Notre Dame, too. They do 2 or 3 stupid things a game that's going to cost you points. Like, they'll have some great plays, they'll score some points, and then they're going to do something stupid that'll cost you points.
And as bad as Florida State has been, they haven't lost by more than 26 points this year.
I saw that.
So let's look at this total here, 42.5. The total has gone over in 6 of Notre Dame's last 8 games at home and 8 of 10 overall. And I think Notre Dame's going to do the heavy lifting here. I think Notre Dame could, in theory, put 42 up themselves.
Maybe.
I think this offense is going to put it on Florida State. And if I get just a little, just the bare minimum of Florida State, even if it comes in garbage time, when Notre Dame starters are out and Florida State's still playing for pride, I'll take that. Over 42.5. I need Dan Devine's character from the movie Rudy to talk me into this.
No one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around.
I love how they made him to be such an a-hole in that movie.
The real guy was nice.
The real dude was nice. Like, he did an interview with some sports radio station in Ohio before he passed, and Dan Devine was like, I told Rudy all along we were going to play him in the final game. Like, it wasn't some sort of, thing where I was trying to keep him off the field. The movie made me be the bad guy.
I love that they had Harris from Major League play that role, too. He's such a red ass in every sports movie he's ever in.
And he's been in some of the great sports movies of all time. In Hoosiers, he was the guy that wanted to be the basketball coach.
Leave the ball, will you, George?
Right. Of course, Harris in Major League, the crafty veteran with the Vaseline ball. And, of course, he was Dan Devine in Rudy. Now, since we're kind of going down this rabbit hole on Rudy, and I know we got to get to other stuff here, but I still love the salty Joe Montana interview that he did with Dan Patrick a couple years ago, talking about how the team really felt about Rudy and the movie. Again, take a listen. This is from Dan Patrick's show. This was Joe Montana, who was the quarterback at the time when Rudy was at Notre Dame.
It's a movie, remember. Not all that's true.
Well, what wasn't true?
Well, the crowd wasn't chanting. Nobody threw in their jerseys. He did get in the game.
Yeah.
He got carried off the game, and we played back then. They tried to play someone at the end that all the seniors could get in at the last home game. So the schedule kind of was set that way, and so he got in. He did get a sack, and then the guys just carried him off, kind of playing around. I won't say it's a joke, but it's playing around.
Joe Montana just crapping all over the movie Rudy.
Can I just, and I know we got to get off this, but can we just make clear to our audience, Notre Dame is actually really good. I know they lost that one game, and you crap all over Notre Dame all the time, and me being a Notre Dame fan, they lost that one game, and that was a bad loss, but they have played really, really well in every other game.
So you gave me a lecture earlier because I said Indiana's played well, and you were very quick to point out the schedule has been crap. I could say the same for Notre Dame.
Texas A&M! At Texas A&M!
Okay.
Navy was ranked. They beat them by 113.
All right. I've seen this movie, though. Like, I know how this ends.
Just let me have it. Just let me have it. We all know they're going to lose at USC and get kicked out of the Final 12. Just let me have it until then.
Gonna take a break. Coming right back. We got a lot more picks to get to. We're having a good time here. We are the Degenerates Next Door. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, I'm Jason Hammer. I do the Hammer and Nigel show in Indianapolis. Rob Kendall, the host of the Kendall and Casey show, is right across from me, and he's got a little holy war he wants to dive into. BYU on the road at Utah. BYU is a 4.5-point road favorite, over under right around 42.5.
All right, BYU was good to me a couple of weeks ago. They covered that game at UCF, so, I believe in rewarding good behavior. Utah's a mess at quarterback. They've lost 4 in a row. The regular QB is done for the season. Isaac Wilson is their backup. He's thrown 8 touchdowns, but also 8 interceptions. Now, this is a rivalry game, which tends to skew the actual spread a bit. But BYU is playing for that spot in the top 12. They're going to run the score up if possible. BYU is averaging over 35 and giving up just a little over 19 against some decent competition. Jake Retzlaff. How about that for a name? That's the quarterback there at BYU. He's thrown for 18 touchdowns and just 7 interceptions by comparison.
What's his last name?
Retzlaff.
Sounds like something you would get if you hook up with some sort of unclean chick on spring break.
Yeah, she was a Broad Ripple 3.
Oh, man. I went down to Panama City last weekend. Hooked up with that chick from Clemson. Now I've got Retzlaff.
BYU is a much better team due to the injuries from Utah. They just need to play like it. I'll take BYU lay in the 4.5.
All right. Rob is on BYU. Let's go to the ACC. A couple teams coming off some losses here. Clemson on the road at Virginia Tech. Clemson, 6.5-point road favorite, over under 53.5. I miss when Virginia Tech was a thing in college football. Like, college football is better when certain teams are good. Whether you like them or not, college football is better when Notre Dame is good. College football is better when Virginia Tech is good. When they come out with Enter Sandman and everybody's rocking and rolling, it's fun. But when they stink, nobody gives a damn. So Clemson, not only 6-0 in the last 6 outings against the Hokies, 5-1 against the spread. They're coming off a loss, but Virginia Tech's quarterback and their running back beat up. Now, they did not play last week. They're expected to be back. But again, here we are on Tuesday, just going by what the insiders say. So Virginia Tech's quarterback, Kyron Drones, and their running back, Baizul Tootin, should be back, according to their insiders.
What's his name?
The quarterback or the running back?
The running back.
Baizul Tootin.
I love that.
Baizul Tootin. They should, wink, wink, be back. But if they are, they're still going to be banged up. Dabo's the kind of dude that needs a big win to kind of get the boosters off of his ass. So I'll lay 6.5 here. Give me Clemson in a bounce-back spot at Va Tech. It wouldn't be a program unless Rob Kendall picked the Iowa Hawkeyes game. And Iowa on the road at UCLA. I believe this is a Friday night affair, Rob. Is that Friday?
Yeah, my thinking here is I might as well go ahead and get one of my losses out of the way on Friday.
Iowa is a 6.5-point road favorite at UCLA, over under 44.5.
All right, so Iowa has been an over machine, and 6.5 seems like a big number. But UCLA has been playing a lot better lately, and Big Ten teams usually struggle going out west. Plus, with this game being on a Friday, maybe Iowa won't be as sharp with an extra one less day of rest. UCLA has held their opponents to 12 a game the last 2 games. Iowa loves to run the ball. UCLA doesn't do bad against the run, against good teams, including they did pretty good against LSU and Penn State. Both of these teams like to try and run the ball, which puts them way down in the nation in plays per game. Look, here's what it comes down to. 11 points a quarter. I got to hold them to 11 points a quarter, and I will keep betting and probably losing on UCLA until I win one. If it takes me the whole frickin' year.
Now that's what I want to hear.
I'm going under 44.5 points.
That's the bounce-back, degenerate spirit that I want to hear. You keep betting on somebody until it finally goes your way.
That's right. That's right.
Let's turn our attention to Virginia at Pitt. Why? Because somebody has to. Pittsburgh's at home. They are a 7.5-point favorite, over under 57.5. Pittsburgh's covered the number in 6 of their last 8. They're averaging 38.9 points per game, which is the 10th highest in the nation. Virginia only averaging 26.3. Now, I'm no rocket scientist, Rob, but 38.9 sounds an awful lot higher than 26.3.
Yes.
So, with this only being a 7.5-point spread and Pittsburgh is at home, I'll lay the points.
Yeah.
Give me Pittsburgh minus 7.5. Shop around for this number. If you can get it to 7, that would be great. But I'll take 7.5 with Pittsburgh. All right, one more time out here. When we come back, Rob's got a little West Coast action. We're going to get nuts, and we've got a degenerate special for the ages. It's all coming up. We are the Degenerates Next Door. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, Arizona State University will basically let anybody into that school. Like, you could have a GPA in the negative, no extracurricular activities. Maybe you've had a felony on your record. Arizona State will welcome you with open arms.
Didn't Tony Katz go there for a while?
Our morning guy here in Indianapolis, Tony Katz, an Arizona State product. And you've got action on this one, Rob. UCF at Arizona State. Sun Devils are a 2.5-point home favorite, over under right around 55.
All right, UCF got smoked when I took BYU 2 weeks ago, so I'll ride the fade UCF train, even though they won big last week against Arizona. A, it's a long trip for UCF. 2, Arizona State has scored 27 or more in 3 of their last 4 games. They just smoked Oklahoma State. Arizona State is undefeated at home this year. UCF has only won once on the road this year. All that being said, UCF will probably play out of their ass, but I'm going with Arizona State minus 2.5.
The passive-aggressive negativity is like fueling my cold, dark heart right now, and I'm absolutely here for it. All right, those are some games that people would actually want to watch, right? At least they would consider watching. The Degenerate special tonight, yes, I said tonight, You have to be next level to be in on this one. So let's not screw around. Let's cue up the band.
It's time for Hammer's Degenerate Special.
Yeah, I know. It's the most important election of our lifetime.
That's right.
The president, the Senate, the House, local races all over America. Yeah, that's fine. But you bet your sweet ass I'm going to have one television on Miami of Ohio at Ball State tonight. A little Tuesday MACtion on election night. Miami of Ohio, 12.5-point road favorite up in Muncie, Indiana. Ball State is giving up 41.3 points per game this year.
Yikes.
And Miami's defense is actually pretty good. Now, here's the situation. Ball State's quarterback is pretty good, too. He's a gunslinger. He's got zero help. Zero help. Ball State is bad. He's pretty good. But as a team, Miami of Ohio is pretty solid. So if Ball State just relies on the passing game, this might actually play into the hands of Miami of Ohio because they've got a really strong pass defense. They have held opponents to only 183 yards per game. That is good for 25th in the country. Miami of Ohio has a solid quarterback. He's going to just tear apart this god-awful Ball State defense. And yes, I can say these things about Ball State because they got an awful lot of my money.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're going to lay 12 with Miami of Ohio at Ball State tonight on election night. I hear tickets may be available for Schumann Stadium tonight. Now, if that game doesn't get your motor running, how about we get nuts?
All right, want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts! Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Now, the premise behind Let's Get Nuts is Rob will find some far-fetched bet or something that seems impossible.
Yeah.
And you will break down the reasons why it's worth a look.
Absolutely.
And you've won one of these earlier this year, and you almost pulled the trigger again this past weekend.
We had that all NFL favored parlay, and we were about 2 plays away from pulling that thing off. And that
which would have paid what?
Oh, it was like, it was plus, I mean, it was like $600 payout on a.
Right, $10 for like a $680 payout or something.
Yeah, I mean, it was I don't even remember what it was. It was insane. But that's why it's called Let's Get Nuts. I mean, if you're betting on this thinking you're actually going to have money in your pocket, you're nuts, which is why you deserve to be on Let's Get Nuts.
And you've won one of these, which, again, means that should be good for a while.
Yes, and we come up with a theme each week. We have some fun with this. You want to get nuts? This is the somebody's getting fired if they lose 8-leg money line special.
So somebody is going to get fired if they lose money line parlay.
So you may lose your bet, but this guy's going to lose his job, right? So here's what all right, so we got Penn State minus 550 versus Washington. Notre Dame minus 7,000 versus Florida State. Tennessee minus 2,800 versus Mississippi State. I can't even believe they let that one stay on the board. Oregon minus 3,500 versus Maryland. Indiana minus 630 versus Michigan. Texas minus 2,500 versus Florida. Miami minus 430 versus Georgia Tech. Every single one of those games should be surefire wins. You got to win by 1 point. That's it. But when you put them all together, oh yeah, by the way, the one more on here. Washington State minus 1,450 versus Utah State. You put them all together, that gets you, Hammer, to plus 102, which means a $10 bet on Penn State over Washington, Notre Dame over Florida State, Tennessee over Mississippi State, Oregon over Maryland, Indiana over Michigan, Texas over Florida, Miami over Georgia Tech, and Washington State over Utah State would pay you, a $10 bet would pay you $10.20.
So you double your money with heavy favorites against god-awful teams.
And some guy's losing his job, so you can take solace in that if you lose your bet.
All right, want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts! Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
All right, let's recap the board here. I am on the over on IU and Michigan, 49.5. The over, Florida State and Notre Dame. I need the Irish to do the heavy lifting here, but it's just 42.5. Clemson minus 6.5. Pitt minus 7.5. And tonight, election night, degenerate special, Miami of Ohio minus 12 at Ball State.
All right, our golden sombrero for this week. LSU getting 3 at home against Alabama. Georgia and Ole Miss, the pro and I are losing together on this one, under 54.5. Friday night, get your weekend off on the right swing with a loss. Iowa under 44.5 versus UCLA. Arizona State minus 2.5 versus UCF. And BYU minus 4.5 versus Utah.
Any thoughts on election night? This isn't a political show. This is a gambling show. It's all about money. It's about trash talk. It's about having fun. Here's a prop bet for you.
Yeah.
Over or under 3 days before we officially have a winner declared in the presidential race.
I'll take under. I think the Democrats will find the votes in the church pews on day 2. And by the way, my prediction, because I'm so bad at this, I took Kamala Harris to win. And if I'm as bad at betting politics as I am sports, we'll be just fine as a country hammer.
For Rob Kendall, for our professional David Stephanoff of followneverfade.com, I'm Jason Hammer. Good luck, everybody. Get your fat asses out there and vote. And as always, may the odds be ever in your favor.